Hello, my name is Jackie Geringer McDermott, and first thing I'd like to do is explain why I have a black eye. I took a nasty fall out my back steps on the only ice in Belle Plaine last Sunday morning. I landed on my forehead. And yes, we're planning to fix the steps differently if we can, and I will also remember to put down some sand before testing out that first step. And also I had a heart procedure this week from which I am recovering well, and I'm researching for another feature story next week on Georgia, my scout leader, and her husband, Bruce Warner, who was Russell Wade's boss at the Home Lumber Company. As a follow-up to our story on the history and future of the Knoll Ridge Pool today, we have Trish, Montross, Blaylock Garrity, and a picture from the 1965 Creamery Picnic Parade before the pool was built. The JCs were the sponsoring organization, and some of the children on the float are Anita Montross and Andy and Ellen McKenna. The theme was Keep the Ball Rolling for a Swimming Pool. Our theme today could be Keep the Ball Rolling to keep the pool going. And here's that picture right here. And then I've got a close-up of the picture. Cassie O'Rourke was here and made a short Facebook video for the Friends of the Pool page with Trish. The pool opened in 1968, and they're hoping to open it back up in 2026. And here's Trish to do some talking.
Hi, I am Trish Montross Garrity, and my sister Anita Koopmans was so excited to have the pool. And I should have done this first, I guess. I'd like to read what she said. I should read it from yours. I will do that later. Okay, I just want to talk about growing up in North English, and we were safe, and our entertainment was like playing ball. My mom was a dance teacher, so my brother and I were involved in dancing. And there wasn't a lot of activity as far as enjoying the pool. We had to go to like Lake Keoma, Lake Iowa, different places to enjoy that. I went to Marengo on a school bus to take swim lessons, of which wasn't overly successful because I was afraid of the water. My mom never had the chance to have a pool, and so she had a fear of the water, and that gave us the fear a little bit. So it was after the pool here was developed, I worked with Kathy Blaylock and Susan Lockridge. And so those two and Kathy's sister, Christy, were determined I was going to learn how to swim. And we were all, three of us were waitresses at Seven Villages on the 6 to 2 shift, carrying all those loads of food. And our muscles ached, and I was glad they were so young that theirs ached too. So anyway, we really enjoyed the pool. And I couldn't wait until every day that I could get the kids to the pool, I would do so. And I kind of always wanted to be an Indian when I was little because I liked the jewelry and the clothing, and so I really liked the tan. So a lot of people like to get tan too. And I just think that if you have any interest in helping these gals, that please do, because this town needs a pool.
Okay. You gonna say what Anita said?
Well, if I can find it.
Okay, let's see if you can see what Anita said, because Anita said some really nice stuff too. Anita Montross Koopmans is her younger sister, and she was on that float. And Trish is gonna find what she said.
Yeah, you can go ahead and talk a minute. You can promote.
Kind of
the
running
pool.
out of stuff to say. The girls will be doing a lot of fundraisers between now and the first of the year and then into the spring about all this. So we're hoping that we can have them on camera once in a while, and we'll learn some of the fun activities they're doing. I know they got something going with Trent down at the Pub and Grub, and there'll be quite a few things to happen to make for them to make money. Are you ready now,
Well,
Trish?
I'll just try to
Just say
remember.
it. Just tell it.
She was telling how she loved to go to the pool because she would meet her friends, Mardella Weber and Nancy Brainerd, and that the scent of the chlorine, that she just loved that, and she still carries that scent today because she had the nice pool to come to. So please donate.
Thanks so much, Trish. Now I'm going to read some pages from the diary. Just stand up if you want. There you go. This diary was written by my great-great-aunt, Mary Elizabeth Claypool Wade, who was known as Libby Wade. She was 75 years old in August of 1950. And here's a picture of Aunt Lib. August 19th, 1950. Beth's birthday, 42. Lots of birthdays during August in our family. This is sure a cold time for this month. A light frost was reported yesterday morning at Spencer and in the low 40s here. Beth Mall Holmes is Lib's niece, the daughter of her sister, Sarah Myrtle Claypool Mall. Beth is the youngest girl in this picture. Lib gets her weather reports from the radio, as the family did not yet have a television. Mrs. Bolt stopped on her way home from town. Mary Newhouse was here a few minutes. She said Mr. Van Fleet is a little better, but must remain quiet for some time. Elizabeth, or Lizzie Geiger Bolts, is Lib's 89-year-old neighbor. Mary Newhouse is another neighbor, and she is giving Lib the news of the neighborhood. Mr. Van Fleet has either had a heart attack or a stroke. Rosa Secord took Mary R. to Sigourney today to see her doctor. She is getting along pretty well. Mary Wade Regseger is Lib's friend, who has been seriously ill and has recently been discharged from the hospital. Here is a picture of Mary R. She is on the right in the back with her late husband, with Fred Regseger. After dinner, I had the dishes done, and Aunt Minnie came. First, Lila came up and was here a while. Glenn and Hazel got home last night. Lila Cobb was a friend of Lib's, who also does the laundry for Lib's family now. Lila is the mother of Glenn Cobb, who is married to Lib's granddaughter, Hazel Wade Cobb. Here is a picture of Lila with her parents, Peter and Emma Hardy, and her sister, Jessie Carter. Glenn and Hazel Cobb have been on a trip to Indiana and Niagara Falls. And here's Glenn and Hazel. Dean brought Minnie down. We had a nice visit. She seems quite well. He went to town and came back. Was here a while, then they went home. Aunt Minnie is not Lib's aunt. She is her sister-in-law, and was married to Lib's brother, Verner Claypool. Lib is calling her Aunt Minnie because that's what everyone else calls her, as she and Lib are the last of their generation in their family still living. And here is a picture of Verner and Minnie and their boys, Harry, Roy, Ray, Leitner Happy, and the youngest son, Dean. And here's a picture of what Dean Claypool looked like at that time in his life. Dean was married later in life to a widow, Thelma Cobb Lown, who had a daughter, Darlene Lownver-Condi, who lives in North English area yet today and listens to my program. And here's Dean's service picture. Several men have received their call to service. Bruce Warner is to report for an exam next Monday. I heard it's going to be terribly bad again. I'm afraid. Mary R. called me. She says she is feeling quite well, but is not very strong yet. The doctor and nurses were well pleased at her gain. Russell went to the HLC tonight. They carry on late on Saturday and Wednesday nights. Bruce Warner is 31 years old and a veteran who had served overseas in World War II. Bruce was in the Army Reserves and is to report again for a physical exam. And here is Bruce's service picture. Bruce is the manager of the HLC, as Libby calls it, or the Home Lumber Company, where Lib's son Russell works a block away from their home. The Home Lumber Company was open for customers on Saturday and Wednesday nights back in the days when many merchants in town were open in the evenings. And here is a picture of Lib's son Russell, or Tyler Wade. Mary Regseger called Lib on the phone, which is great news, since her friend has been very ill and in the hospital for quite a while. Although they only live about a block apart, both women are practically housebound. Sunday, August 20th, 1950. Russell went away rather early. Virgil Hahn was to go with him, perhaps to Amana. It is terrible cold this morning. Haven't heard the temperature yet, but light frost was predicted. Russell loves to spend his days off in the summer fishing. Virgil Hahn was one of his fishing buddies. The low last night was 33 degrees at Waterloo and Atlantic, 37 degrees at Sioux City, 40 degrees at Iowa City and Des Moines, and 35 degrees at Mason Cities, 59 to 62 degrees at 10 a.m. today. I have a fire and it is needed. Mrs. Bolt stopped on the way to church. I asked her to come in for dinner, which she did. I had chicken, plus. Reverend Peterson preached his farewell sermon today at the Christian church. Jenny was up in the p.m., Stella came, and Mary Newhouse was in. Jenny Butterbaugh Wade is Lib's daughter-in-law, married to her oldest son, Wayner Perky Wade. Stella Wallace is the mother of Lib's daughter-in-law, Lena, who is married to Warner Mike Wade. Stella is worried about the strangers that are in town. Men working on the railroad. Some were unruly last night and were put in jail. Drinking, I think. Several have been visiting Milt down near Stella. Russell got several fish, took one out to Reese's. It was 2 foot long, a carp. Russell's girlfriend, Mildred Reese, lives in the country west of town with her parents, and here's a picture of Mildred in her older days. Bertha and Charles and Ronnie came and stayed with me while some of the others went to the ball game. She gave me one of the pictures that was taken at Louise's on June 11th. J.L., Otis, Louise, Bertha, and myself. Bob came in for them to go home about 10 p.m. He has grown so much taller since I last saw him. He is to start football practice here soon. My grandma, Bertha Geringer, and her sons, Charles, or Chuck, and Ronnie, who are 9 and 8 years old, came to visit Bertha's Aunt Lib, while the others went to the ball game at the park. The Geringer family had relocated back out to their farm at Yankee Point, and their boys ride into North English on a school bus to go to school. Bertha does not drive, so she chooses to spend her time in town visiting with her beloved Aunt Lib. Robert, or Bob Geringer, is 14 years old and was trusted enough to drive up and get his mother and the 2 younger boys. And here's my grandma, Bertha Geringer, younger pictures and older pictures of her. And I thought I had one of Bob and Chuck and Ronnie in there, but I guess I don't. So we'll see that one another time. The picture that Bertha brought to Lib is likely this one from their family reunion up at Louise Claypool Long's house in June. The 4 children of Lib's late brother, Arthur Benton Claypool, and his wife, Rosabelle Carter, were all in this picture with Lib. They are Jonathan Leroy or Jaunty Claypool, Otis Claypool, Louise Claypool Long, and Bertha Claypool Geringer. And Lib is on the left, so this is exactly what she would have looked like at this time period. Russell said there was frost, lots of it out by Virgil Hans this morning. August 21st, 1950. Still cold and quite a strong west wind. The sun is shining brightly, and I suppose it is warmer outside than in here. Tracy was here on her way to town. She said Mrs. Perrin hadn't yet moved into Mrs. Calvert's. Didn't know about the little child being sick. We heard it was polio. Sent Anna's letter to the P.O. by Charles Cox. I forgot to give it to Russell this morning. Tracy Kelly Geringer Wallace was my paternal great-grandmother. She lives down on East Washington Street or Smoky Row and is walking to town when she stops to see her friend Lib. And here's a picture of Grandma Wallace. She died about 1961. So in the 50s, she lived down on Smoky Row in what we later called Wilkerson's house, next to my parents' old house, where Brother Lou lives today. The person she's sending the letter to is Anna Wade Cray, Lib's daughter in Texas, and she writes to her very often. Anna and Richard are on the right side in this picture. Charles, or Beanie Cox, is Lib's neighbor who lives at the corner of Boland Avenue and Oak Street. He works uptown at the F.C. Allen Pharmacy and likely walked past Lib's house, where she hailed him down and asked him to drop her letter in the post office, which was just a few doors north of his workplace. And here's a picture of Beanie Cox, the father of my faithful listener, Julie Cox Steinerson, and her siblings. They are spray painting the Newberry house this p.m. I suppose it is Lawrence Hudson doing the work. It is some warmer and clouding over. May get some rain. I believe that the house that Lib is calling the Newberry house is directly across the street to the east from Lib and Russell's house, where she can easily see what is going on over there from her front porch. I believe it would be this house at 126 East Oak Street, which had a stairway on the east side, on the side at one time for renters to live upstairs. Maud was up this p.m. Also Lena came. I heard that Dempsey Wade had rented part of the Clifford Cox house, the brick one. Maud Foster Claypool is Lib's niece by marriage to her nephew Ray Claypool. And here's a picture of Maud when I knew her in later years. And here's a picture of Lena Wallace Wade, Lib's daughter-in-law, married to her second son, Warren or Mike Wade. Dempsey Wade is engaged to be married to Mary Magdalene Spratt from Parnell, and they will take up residence as renters in the same house with the Clifford Cox family at this brick house. And there's Dempsey. And here is the Cliff Cox brick house. Hattie came over this evening. She is not feeling very well, but works too hard. Someone came and talked to Russell, then they went uptown together. I don't know who it was. Someone who wanted something from the lumberyard, I suppose. Hattie went home at 10. She had heard that Betty Strasser Greer had a baby girl a day or two ago. I don't remember Betty's name. Betty Strasser Greer was the daughter of Hazel and Richard Strasser. Her older sisters were Evelyn Morse, Elsie Nelson, and Mary Wolfe. Her younger siblings were Shirley Wade and Clint Strasser. Betty was married to Philip Greer, and her baby born this week in 1950 was Diane Marie Greer. A lot of work goes on behind the scenes to keep the History Center operating. This includes cataloging sessions, creating displays, coordinating and preparing for monthly programs, responding to requests from family and community histories, keeping up the social media, finances, cleaning, maintenance, and providing treats for programs. There's a whole lot more activity that supports the center operations and is largely contributed through time and effort by the board of directors and volunteers. The History Center board is composed of Dave Jackson, president, Scott Romine, vice president, Bonnie Romine, secretary, Don Banning, treasurer, and directors Carolyn Elwood, Shelley Gerard, Alan Ackerman, and Dan Best. Please send donations to the English Valley History Center, P.O. Box 70, North English, Iowa 52316. The last History Center program for this year is tomorrow, Sunday, September 16th, at 2 p.m. at the English Valley History Center, with Frank McCaw, entitled Iowa's Civil War Generals. All are invited to attend these programs at no charge. Donations are accepted. And here's the poster from tomorrow. This is a reminder that the next alumni luncheon group will meet at 11:30 a.m. at the Main Street Pub and Grub in North English on Monday, December 8th. Please contact Linda Holden Carter or Alice Flooring Stramer for reservations. Our sympathies today to the family of Joan Wade Colbert, who passed away this week. Joan was from the Kinross class of 1958. The Kinross graduates that year were English Valley's high school graduates. Joan Wade, as she was known then, was the daughter of Carol Wade and Goldie Longwell Wade, and a sister to Sam Wade, Jane Dietz, and David Wade from North English. We now have passed the 1-year anniversary of my Saturday broadcasts. We have over 1,000 views on Facebook each week and have had more than 2,900 views on the bank robbery story and 3,000 views on the history and future of the Knoll Ridge Pool. With over 2,800 views on YouTube and 60 regular subscribers, I am proud we have so many listeners. Thanks to the generous donors and much help from the History Center Board of Directors, we have upgraded to a computer and a camera and other enhancements for the pictures. We hope you have enjoyed our progress this year as I tell you all about my English Valley's hometowns. One of the most important ways you can help us is to donate or loan your English Valley's keepsakes to the History Center. 2 weeks ago, you can imagine my surprise when Connie Dennis Pfeiffer, who was in my class of 1973, walked in during my broadcast with items to donate. She brought some very old school programs from about 1900 that were in pristine condition, showing her grandmother Della Dennis and Della's brother Bill Bonneter as pupils. Bill Bonneter was the grandfather of my other classmate, Diane Bonneter Cassens of Lanark, Illinois. Bill Bonneter was my great uncle by marriage, as he was married to my great aunt Clara Vandy Kirkove Bonneter. And Connie brought this special uniform that is now on display in the sports area of the History Center, right next to Mark Claypool and Jane Ackerman's letter jackets and Sherry Lockridge Moffat's majorette uniform. This is Connie's junior high basketball uniform from the late 1960s. I remember having one of these uniforms also when I played my 1 minute of junior high basketball. And here is Connie in her uniform. My brother Chip Geringer and my late mother Etheldean Geringer Abbott donated these 2 buttons from the 1954 centennial. This first one is a shaving permit. And the other one is a general button from the celebration. Mick Lortz from Millersburg was here this morning early and gave us this rain gauge from Reed Oil Company. It says Reed Oil Company, Harry and Glenn Reed, 664-2595, North English, Iowa. Linda Holden Carter was also in this morning with some interesting pictures from her dad's graduating class of 1943 that we're going to work on identifying all the people. More about that next week. And she also brought some interesting pictures from a parade. Correspondence. I heard from Vicki Orndorff Johnson from California this week, and she remembers this. When I lived in North English, there was a bus that went to the pool in Marengo. I think it was 50 cents for the pool and the bus. It was my first experience with a swimming pool. I loved it, and it's something I've never forgotten. I think the North English pool is very important. I think the pool is very important too. We were bused to Sigourney for lessons when I was little. We are also interested in learning about any historical English Valley items that you might wish to donate to the History Center. Please contact Dave Jackson, Scott Romine, or any board member to donate. And thank you, and we'll see you next week.
I hope